Hey guys, welcome to Bro Talk. Welcome to another spectacular episode in which we will be covering this book, The 48 Laws of Power. We've been doing this for the past few episodes. This episode, we're going to focus on Law 15 and Law 16. Very great laws to not only read into, but dive deep into what these laws are talking about. So please come and join our conversation and our dialogue today. Thank you. All right. Well, before we start, I definitely wanted to congratulate you, Aldous. If you guys don't know, Aldous has become a father now. So congratulations, a baby boy.
Yes.
Um, welcome to the club. You know, to the to the fatherhood club.
Okay.
And yeah, I wish you the best of luck, and best health for
Amen.
your baby boy, and I can't wait to see him again because I just saw him like a month ago.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I have no sleep. I'm sleep deprived. I haven't taken a shower either.
Wow.
And I
No,
lost 85 pounds. So
wow.
yeah. I'm just kidding.
We could see that.
Well, definitely no, the shower thing, that's not true. But the sleep, that is definitely true. I have not
Oh
slept
yeah,
well. Not slept well. But hopefully this ends semi soon. But who
it's
knows?
not good. Don't worry. This
Oh,
is raising a child is called delayed gratification, sir.
oh wow. Is that
So
what
let me
today's
see.
episode's about? So funny. Yeah, but no,
uh,
he's amazing, and hopefully one day I'll have him here on the podcast next to me. Once
oh,
he's a
that'd
little
be
bit
great.
older and he can
Oh
maybe
yeah,
say
100%.
something.
100%. And we're both raising boys, so at
Yes.
least no girls in the family yet. But
Stay
we
away,
shall
girls. Nice
see.
kidding.
We shall see. Only time will tell. Well,
Yes.
back to the episode.
Uh,
So we're up to law 15 and 16, right?
mhm.
Let's start with law 15. Law 15 was very interesting. It titles itself "Crush Your Enemy Totally." The judgment is all great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If if one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More
Mm,
is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge. Crush him, not only in body, but in spirit.
wow.
Wow. Well, this law was very interesting, I think, because, well, when I read,
Mhm.
because it focuses a lot on wherever you have your enemy to make sure if, and this could be applied in many things, in competitive ways, in business, whatever. Once you have an enemy, make sure you crush him. Make sure
Mhm.
there's no place of revival for this person to try to come get back at you.
Mhm.
Um, and I believe that there is some truth to it. I would like to know what you think
Mhm.
about about what this chapter really focused on. Like, should we be crushing our enemy totally? What did the author mean?
Mhm.
And what do you think?
Mhm. Uh, well, when I was reading this, I was like, "Oh, okay, so he wants us to become murderers." Got you. Like,
Nice.
no kidding. No, no. Again, the way he writes is a very it's a very Machiavellian utilitarian type of way he writes. Again, he does it to really captivate us, but
Right.
and I understand what he's saying. Like when you watch those movies where it's like there is it's like you're the protagonist is like killing a whole army or like the king, but then he left the king's child, let's say, right? He left the king's kingdom.
Yes, yes, yes. And then
And
I don't, sorry to interrupt, but like
yeah,
they come and seek for revenge years later.
yeah, especially like in Japanese movies, that's definitely like a thing of honor. Like I gotta go back and have revenge and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So like according to him, it's like, hey, you gotta leave every rock, you gotta destroy everyone, make sure that there's no way for them to come back, right? Now, a lot of the times, these the way he writes these chapters, I
Hmm.
then like to take a step back and think, okay, it makes sense what he's saying in this context, right? And he uses he has a couple interesting stories which I do want to talk about soon, but I also like to
Yes.
take a step back and say, okay, but in the real world, how can we actually use this, right? When it comes to relationships or at work or in the business world, right? Because in the business world, you're actually not going to go and kill, right, the CEO and the family, but maybe the way you kill them or crush them is you buy out their company, right? Maybe you give the CEO a higher salary or the inventors higher salaries, and now you bring them to your team. So then that company
Okay.
gets annihilated, right? There's a lot of ways of looking at this. Um,
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
so a lot of the times I like to look at the way he writes, and I'm like, okay, how can we apply it in today's perspective? I do have answers for that, but I do want to go over for two stories. The first one is again, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but like in page 110, where it says
Okay.
observance of the law. This story for me was crazy. The Wu Chao woman, she was the
Yes.
daughter
Yes.
of a duke, and she like at the end is able to just, because of her manipulation and her ability to like to not have mercy, she was able to like destroy everyone from the previous dynasty, and she was able to make herself become like the emperor where there was no one else to fight against, and she stayed there for a long time. She was willing to go so far, she even killed her own children to frame other people
Yeah.
to get them killed, right? Th- and yes, they do say that because she was probably a woman, she had to go be even more extreme to make sure that she got her position and she was set for
Right.
life, right? So, and as Napoleon Bonaparte says, right, in the book too, to have ultimate victory, you must be ruthless. You must be. And I do think, as he's mentioned, all types of armies and dynasties, they have come to a conclusion where it's like, yeah, if you want to win, make sure you kill everybody because you don't want them to come back later and say, hey, I'm the son or the daughter of this person. I'm back for revenge, and maybe they have a better plan or they're stronger or quicker or smarter than you, and then they
Hmm.
destroy you. So at the end you got to crush your enemy totally. um he then starts talking about Moses, right, from the Torah, and he starts saying how like Moses crushed his enemy, and he gives examples. I disagree on how he's interpreting these stories, because the way he's writing and he's making Moses and all these stories look like is definitely not aligned with Judaism. But we can talk about that later. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, it makes sense. It does make sense what he's saying. Um, and I do think in real life, you do have to do this for a lot of different circumstances. In toxic relationships or at work, if you're having problems, you need to nip it in the bud. You gotta completely destroy the enemy in a different way, of course. But yes, I do agree with this. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with it. I remember there. Oh, I mean, I agree with it to a certain extent as well, because we see what happens in the transgression of the law, which was also a Chinese history story. It
Mhm.
talked about uh two warriors, two rivals, but one of them was very hesitant to always kill or
Mhm.
get rid of the other person, and by giving this other person uh too many chances, always this other person was always managing to escape. At the end of the day, when they became the most powerful person and they had to get rid of this person, they had, like, I guess, quote unquote, the balls or the ability to do it, to crush the enemy totally. While if you don't do it, and you have more than one chance to do it, it's like you're losing an opportunity to keep, in a sense, your hierarchy, your wherever you're at. Let's say you're at the top. If you can't crush this person that's trying to crush you, if you can't crush them totally, you think that taking away half of what they got, you don't think they're gonna try to move their way back up? Like, especially if they're an enemy, of course they're going to try. So I guess seeing the transgression of the law compared to the observance, I believe that in most cases, in like real life scenarios, when we have quote unquote an enemy, it is good to crush them totally, because you never know, I guess, what people are actually feeling.
Mhm.
Because even in the transgression of the law, they were former friends, I believe.
Mhm.
So even a former friend could become, in a sense, an enemy. I believe they even used to do this back in the days. If I'm not wrong, I know he mentioned Moses, but you being more a theological expert than me, I believe when in the times of war, uh, they were always ordered to get rid of the men and the boys.
Mhm.
I'm meaning, and if I'm not wrong, the children as well, because they didn't want any manpower to stay alive,
Mhm.
right? Because the moment you have mercy, you never know what can happen next.
Mhm.
I think even in one of the stories, God ordered um to crush the entire town or the entire village, and that wasn't done, and he
Mhm.
was extremely upset. I don't know if you remember the story that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're talking about like well, one of the stories that came to my mind was the prophet Samuel and
mhm.
Saul, where God,
Yes,
Samuel
yes,
tells them kill everyone, even the
yes.
animals, but he
Uh
didn't
huh.
do that. He didn't do that.
He kept
He
the
kept
king
the
alive.
animals, and the king was kept alive, and
Yes.
the animals were kept. And Samuel's like, "What the heck? Didn't I tell you not to do this?" And people don't know this, but that king eventually had a child,
Mm-hmm.
eventually, and then that person becomes an enemy of the Jewish people in the book of Esther. And the book of
Mm.
Esther, the book
Wow,
of
I didn't know
Esther,
this.
and the book of Esther is the
Mm-hmm.
story of when the Jewish people almost got annihilated in the Persian kingdom because this guy Haman
Mm-hmm.
convinced the
Se llama
king.
Haman?
Haman, that was Haman, that was his name. It's in the book of
Okay.
Esther. He convinces the king at the time to write a decree that on this day we're going to kill all Jews in the Persian kingdom. And Haman was descendant of that guy that they didn't kill.
Mm. So because of not killing that guy, now years later, it kind of like bit them in the butt.
Yeah, it definitely did. 100% it did. Yes. But yes, there are many stories in the Bible where where God will tell Moses and to tell the Jews, the Israelites, go when you take over this part of Canaan, which is eventually becomes
Mhm.
Israel, kill the men, the women, the children, kill everyone, push them out. Right? Yeah, there are a lot of stories like that. Yes, that is correct. Yes.
So do you think God agrees with this law?
He's the one that invented it. I'm just kidding. No. Um, I think a lot of people misunderstand a lot of these stories, but we can get there eventually. So don't worry.
Well, yeah, because I mean, these stories are very. I mean, they're based on the past.
Yeah.
We don't live in times like these anymore. We're like, well, hmm, yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't
if
live in
there's
times.
I mean, if there's war and you take over a country and you kill everyone, you win. Do you take the land or not?
I mean, yeah, just
Yeah.
like Russia's trying to take some land from
Oh, that's
Ukraine right
true.
now.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Forget about that. Ay.
But yeah, no, yeah, I mean, but you still try to crush your enemy totally. I mean, we see it with tariffs now. We see it with negotiations. If we're gonna help you here, you have to buy this from us consistently.
Mhm.
That's like helping you, but
Mhm.
at the same time, it's not crushing them
Well, yeah, because
completely.
I was gonna say the book
It's keeping you alive, but it's making sure that you're never above me.
because on page 112 at the bottom
Uh
it
huh.
says negotiation is the viper, the insidious viper that will eat away at your victory. So give your enemies nothing to negotiate, no hope, no room to maneuver. They are crushed and that is it. That's on page 112. Yeah, page 112. It's the second to last paragraph.
Oh, where it says that your solution is simple.
Yeah. Look a couple lines below. And so basically, negotiation is, because you're right, negotiation is not crushing your enemy. He's saying don't give them anything. Because basically, what I'm
Oh,
understanding is if you're trying to be number one, or you want to win at something, or you're trying to achieve something, right? And people are trying to beat you as well, you have to make sure that they don't win. So if you try to negotiate, they might take some leverage and they might get something from you, and then you're not going to win, right? He's saying here, if you're gonna kill the snake, right? Kill, do a headshot, just completely destroy so he can't come back to bite you back in the butt, right? Whatever you got to do whatever you got to do, destroy them to send the message. Like this woman I mentioned, the wu woman, she was willing to do anything to win, and that's what happened, right? Um, and I'm saying you could do this at work as well. You could do this with relationships with your friends, toxic relationships, right? That when you know that someone is dangerous or they're draining you or they're toxic and they're bringing you backwards, don't manage it, don't negotiate it. You got to end it. Now, of course, I'm not being as extreme as the chapter, but I think you get my drift.
I get the drift. The only thing is that I feel like for bigger things it becomes a little bit more complex.
Of course, yeah, 100%.
Where like you would like or you would want to destroy the enemy completely, but destroying the enemy completely comes with a lot of repercussions as well,
Hmm.
or what you stand for or what you believe in, and now you get hated by the rest of the world because Jesus, I'm trying to do what's best for me or my people or the country that I stand for or the enemy.
Hmm.
And now, but crushing them completely takes like a huge reputation toll on you,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So that's why, like, I guess it depends on the level of things because
Hmm.
obviously in previous chapters, previous laws, we talked about how sacred your reputation is, right? And maybe
Yes.
more on an individual level. But if you're a leader of a country, if you're a leader of a nation and stuff like that, and you have to make big decisions. Your reputation will be damaged if you try to crush the enemy completely.
Hmm.
So I don't believe there's like a win-win. I
Hmm.
guess it's more of you have to do, I guess, whatever's best for you, even in whatever conditions you're put in, either hard or not.
Hmm.
That's where it gets a little bit, I guess, tricky.
I think it depends if you're thinking long term or short term, right? You have to have that in account too. What's the short term goal or what's the long term goal? You're right. Maybe short term people are gonna hate you. There's gonna be a lot of repercussions, but the long term is gonna outweigh the short term, or vice versa. I don't know, right?
Right. That's a
So
great way of thinking. Yes.
it's really going to depend on what is happening, right? And again, that's the big scale, right? Like you're a president, you're a king of a country, you're a ruler, right? Obviously, most decisions you're gonna make, you're not gonna make everyone happy. You like it's just not possible. It's impossible to make everyone happy. Someone's gonna suffer, or someone's not gonna be happy with your decision, right? So that's something that I would say. But I think on a
But
smaller scale,
yeah, more day-to-day basis.
more day-to-day, like for example, I was thinking of an example, and this happens a lot actually, depending on what industry, happens a lot where like let's say you're at work and you come up with a great idea or a good project or something, and
Hmm.
someone takes your ideas and says that it was their idea, right?
Hmm. Yes.
So what are you gonna do? You could ignore it and be like, I'll get the next one, or
No.
whatever the case is. But no, you got to make a statement. So you need to that person who did that on purpose, quote unquote, they're your enemy. So you got to crush them. So how do you do that, right? And I was thinking that probably what you're gonna have to do is you first of all you can't play nice with them. You're gonna have to call them out. Now, of course, I'm not saying go crazy or threaten them with like a shotgun, right? But you're gonna have to like call them out publicly so other people can hear you.
Like humiliate them.
No, I'm not saying humiliate them, right? I'm saying like, hey,
That could play a part
correct. And you're like, listen,
because you're crushing them in a sense, like their confidence or whatever sneaky thing they did. Now it's public. But
correct. So now it's
continue. Sorry.
public. So now it's public, right? So I would say like you would go and say, listen, what you did was wrong for X and Y Z reason. That was my idea. I bet you if I were to ask you right now, how do we, I don't know, build the composite XXY using the code that you supposedly said, if I gave you these three questions, you would not be able to answer it. You know why? And then you would prove it, let's say, and they can't answer it. Like, you know why? Because that's my code. I know how it works. So don't do that again. I want everyone to know. I want everyone to hear me. I'm gonna give this guy a chance. Do not do that again. You or anyone else here, do not try to take my credit for my ideas. That was my idea. I'm gonna go tell the boss now what you just did. This is the boundary. Don't do that again. I don't hate you. I don't hate you or anyone. Don't do that again. These are my ideas. I take them seriously, and they come from me. If you wanna partner up, that's different. But don't steal ideas. That's wrong. But you see, I put a boundary. I was firm. I said it publicly, so now everyone knows, right? And there's witnesses who, so the stories can be manipulated. And then maybe you go tell the boss and you show them the evidence. So again, you see, it's like a little bit of everything, and I crush him
Right.
completely now.
Or you could do it in public, or you could do it in private. Talk with the boss and be like, "Yo, boss, I would like Tim to come in and show me how to do
Mm.
that." And he doesn't know how to do
Mm.
it because he wasn't the one with the idea. He wasn't the one that created it. Therefore, I'm not doing it in public either. Whichever, I'm not saying there's a wrong or right answer, but whichever way you decide to do it, you're standing up for yourself in a sense. You're
Correct.
crushing your enemy totally because they tried to take away credit from where it actually came from, which was you, right?
Correct.
Which makes sense. I thought about it more from like a competitive standpoint, which that is a
Okay.
competitive standpoint, but me, my head always revolves around sports. It's kind of like you're playing basketball and we're not let's think of a game that has meaning, or let's say you get paid for it, or let's say there's a big prize. We're not talking about recreationally. Either way, it
Okay.
could get competitive recreationally as well. But if there's like a prize for something and you're beating your opponent, maybe the best way to beat, I mean, many people do this, the best way to beat your opponent is not staying silent. It's not only beating them through your game, but it could be through your words as well, right?
Mm.
Like trash talking in a sense, where like
Mm.
now I'm not only beating you physically, skillfully, I'm also beating down your confidence.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
sometimes you stay quiet and it happens to a lot of us, but you stay quiet and you don't say nothing, but this person still has the utmost confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you said a few things, if you happen to pinch them with words or like irritate them, right? Um, there's the possibility of you crushing them, like their
Uh-huh.
confidence disappears and stuff like that, right?
Uh-huh.
So not only choosing one way to crush your enemy, but I guess multiple ways.
Mm.
Like I'm gonna do it at a skill level, but I also want to do it at a verbal level where I know that you have no chance because
Mm.
not only am I outdoing you one way, but I'm also doing it another way, right?
Mm.
So that's kind of the way I thought about it in crushing your enemy totally. I also thought about it in a way and tell me what you think about this. This could be short or long,
Mm-hmm.
but when you mean crush your enemies totally, this cannot only just be applied to like a person, an individual, but I feel like it could be applied to like behaviors or
Mm-hmm.
certain traits where crush your enemy. Well, there are certain traits that once used badly have to be crushed. Meaning, if I'm raising my kid and I see that he's acquired a trait to its toxic level, right? Because we've also acknowledged that traits could be good or bad depending on
How they're
how
used.
how they're used. But
Mm-hmm.
this trait, whatever the trait is, they're using it at a toxic level. Um, I must crush that type of behavior, that enemy, in a sense. I'm viewing this very differently,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I must crush that type of behavior
Yes.
totally because I don't want my son to obtain this
Mm-hmm.
and to think it's okay to react like this, to behave like this. And for me to do it, I have to be able to speak to him and crush that enemy that is that he's portraying through behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just the other way I thought about it. It could be applied to people and the way they act towards you and what they're trying to do against you. Therefore, you have to crush them. But we can also view it differently in traits and behaviors in others and how we want to get rid of that, or even in ourselves. And once we are using those traits to the worst, then we have to be able to crush that totally and either get that out of ourselves or, in this
From other
example,
people.
from other people, my son.
No,
So,
that's a great way of looking at it. It's not just crushing people in competitive sports or at work or as a president, right? I love that. Also destroying the enemy, which you're right, could be an addiction. It could be a habit, a character trait, right? And then we would just have to go and talk about the psychology on how to destroy that completely because that behavior, that trait is destroying or maybe making our lives harder. So I love that. But basically, at the end of the day, the conclusion of this law is whatever enemy we're talking about here, if it's an individual, an organization, a company, or a trade, as you mentioned, it needs to be destroyed. Because don't get me wrong, it's good to be merciful. It really is. It's a good
mhm.
quality. But in this context, being merciful can really hurt you because it can come back and bite you right in the butt cheeks. Just as like he likes to mention, I love this image he put up in page 113. The image says a viper crushed beneath your foot, but left alive, will rear up, get ready, and bite you with a double dose of venom. An enemy that is left around is like a half dead viper that you nurse back to health. Time makes the
Mm.
venom grow stronger. Now, I don't know how true that is biologically and scientifically, like the venom's gonna get stronger. Like I don't know about that, but I
Yeah,
love
I
this
don't,
example. I love it. I love it.
because it's like killing someone halfway, not doing it completely. They're still alive, and you know what? He was able to take me down once, but I'm not gonna let it happen again. And
Correct.
now I have to, you know,
Heal
get
back.
him heal back, but get him back worse. So now I'm I'm so focused on getting to you, and it's not like even the first time I was doing it. Now it's the second time because I already know that I failed, and I don't want to fail again. So now I'm really focusing on taking you down. So it makes sense to take down the enemy completely, and like we discussed, it could be a person, it could be a trait, and that's why sometimes they say, you are your own worst enemy,
Mm.
because sometimes the things that you have within yourself that could be bringing you down.
So basically, we gotta buy AK-47s and kill people. I'm kidding.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
Not in my state, but maybe in yours.
That's true. All right then. Let's get a law
That was
16.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you want me to read it? I can read it.
No, I'll read it because you read the last one.
Okay, but this is a great one.
Yeah, I've done this so much in my life. It works. But yes, let's get to it. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. The judgment is too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and
Hmm.
heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave, create value through scarcity.
Wow.
Okay, that's it. Basically what this chapter is really saying is that you have to learn how to strategically withdraw yourself from people and groups. And when you do that, you will become more valuable subconsciously in their minds. That's what basically this chapter is all about. And as soon as I was reading this, the first thing that came to my mind is so funny. I thought of two things. I thought of Pokemon cards.
What?
Pokemon. I'll tell
What?
you why. Pokemon,
Okay.
like the original Pokemon cards. And then I
Oh,
thought,
okay. I think I see where you're connecting it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm not talking about like the new ones. I'm talking about like the old ones. And then
Uh-huh.
I thought of like Quentin Tarantino and his 10 movie plan, which I'll explain. So Pokemon cards
Please, yeah.
because the first ones that came out, right? Obviously, the last couple of years, I think since COVID, Pokemon cards went through the roof. The prices went crazy. And the
Hmm.
more packets are open on the old cards, they become more valuable because they're not reprinting those cards, right? So the circulation of the first edition and the older cards, the scarcity, right? The cards become
It's
more
rare.
scarce. It becomes less. The more packets of those are open, the less cards there are in the world. So
Right.
now there's less circulation. Price goes up now because it becomes more rare. There's less of it. And the whole Quentin Tarantino, because his whole thing is like he only wants to make 10 movies and that's it. Right? I think he's on number 8 or 9, so he has like one or two left.
Really?
Yeah, he's talked about this so much, and he said in interviews once he hits number 10, right? I think he has like one or two left. He's like, even if number 10 is the best one or one of the best ones, and people
Hmm.
want more, he said, I'm gonna stop. He says, I'm gonna stop making movies and then I'm gonna go write books or like do plays or something. He wants to leave when people want more. And
So
because
that's
he
his
does, it's genius.
strategy.
It is. And because he doesn't come up with, because he's not coming up with movies every year, but every time he comes up something, people stop everything and then they go watch what he makes because he's very strategic. He doesn't make a movie all the time, but when he does come out with one, even if it's not the best one, it's phenomenal. It's great. And once he gets to number 10, he's going to strategically withdraw. And now what? And now guess what? He is applying, I wrote something here, different psychological tactics like the scarcity principle, which is people value what they perceive as scarce. If you're always available, you get taken for granted. So because he's not always coming out with something, when he does, it's valuable. You have to take time to watch it, right? The same
Hmm.
thing is in a relationship, right? If you're always available, you're not going to be seen as attractive or like someone so much in demand, so they take you for granted. Oh, because he's always going to be there for me because anytime I need something, he's always there. I'm not saying not to be like that, but you have to withdraw certain times so subconsciously they can see you as valuable. Like, hey, when he's here, let me take advantage. So yeah.
Right, and that's kind of where the, if I'm not wrong, I like your examples, but that's kind of where at least the law aims at when it comes to relationships, because that's
Mm,
what they talk about in the transgression of the
correct.
observance of the law, right? Or so
Yeah.
basically, once you show yourself too much, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
constantly there. You're constantly, oh, you know what? Even if it's subconsciously, either sex will be like, you know what? I know he's gonna be there. I
Mm-hmm.
know she's gonna be there. So it's like it's a, it doesn't rule your mind that this person is not gonna show up,
Mm-hmm.
because their absence is never existent. Their presence always is. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when those things happen, you know, like you said, you're taking for granted. And
Mm-hmm.
we saw that with the stories here, where uh he shows himself too much, then he's taken for granted. But the guy who disappears and, you know, isn't available for a long time is a person where, like, this person starts to imagine stuff. Is he okay? When is he coming back? And stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was always an interesting quote uh when I read this with this chapter, that when, like, don't try to make your presence noticed, but to make your absence felt,
That's great.
right? So, which I believe it to be 100% true. It's cool to, I guess, make your presence noticed. You walk in the room, everyone knows who you are. But the moment you withdraw from that group and people are like, whoa, I'm missing something. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
we're missing something. It's because you know your worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The value that you bring to that team, to that group, to that business holds so much that the moment you step out, it's like we feel like there's something not right going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what you always want to strive for. either in business, in relationships, because I feel like that's to an extent is that that's when you earn your respect as well. That's when people
Mm-hmm.
start to respect the value that you bring. Because the moment you're too available, not only people start taking you for granted, but people don't start to respect you less.
Mm-hmm.
But and unfortunately, that's even in relationships too. I feel like, and this is maybe just my opinion, but I feel like this applies a lot, as a guy in a relationship, as a man, where like obviously you want to be there for your woman, right? And I don't want to get to this yet, but even the reversal talks about either way the reversal is not applied so much, but you can't just show up and then disappear. No, you have to stay there for a certain amount of time
Mm-hmm.
and and show your worth, um, show your respect, and even it says, give me 1 second, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, you don't want to leave too early because therefore you won't increase your respect and you would just be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, you stay for a certain amount of time, you're constantly present, you show how good of a person you are, your worth, but and then you take a little step back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the time that you gave before is not the same. Therefore, that person starts to realize, wow, this person meant so much to me that when they're not present in my life, I feel like I need them more.
Mm.
So whenever they're there, or whenever you're there, they'll actually value you even more.
Yeah, this is interesting because as you kind of hint the last minute or two, there has to be a fine balance because you
Mhm.
can't just show up, be there for like a minute or two or like a day or two, and then just leave because then you're forgotten. It has to
Yeah.
be the right balance of like you were there enough. And
Yes.
again, you have to do you have to be something do something special or be special, be present. And then that's when you do your strategic withdrawal, and that's when your quote, the absence is felt. So psychologically, you got to use the scarcity principle, which I mentioned, right? There's also something called the 𝗍𝗃𝗃 effect. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's basically
𝗍𝗃𝗃𝗃.
the
Interesting.
𝗍𝗃𝗃 effect is when people remember unfinished or interrupted interactions that were intense, right? Or that were interesting, at least, right? And a great example of this is, let's say you're talking to the opposite sex and you're making them laugh and you're having a joke, right? Or someone or you're talking to someone and they're interested in you and let's say for example, you start to make a joke and they're laughing and then you say, by the way, I gotta go, we'll talk next time, and you leave. Or like you're making them laugh or an intense conversation was getting so good and it says and then someone pulls them and say, hey, I gotta go talk to this person, I'll talk to you later. But what's gonna stay in your mind according to this psychological principle is like, hey, they were making me laugh, or we were having this intense convo, and then they had to leave. Where is that person? I want to continue that convo. I like that person. I like
Right,
him or
right,
her,
right,
right?
right.
And the other one is called intermittent reinforcement, which is similar to how, it's like a tactic. It's like how a reward works, right? It keeps getting people hooked up, right? They keep showing up, right? It's like the person keeps coming up occasionally, but they're not constantly there. They're only there sometimes. So for the other person, mentally, you are the reward because they love talking to you, because you're interesting, you're funny, you bring value, whatever the case is, right? So when you are there, your essence becomes more impactful, but again, it's because you're there intermittently. You're not there. That the scarcity principle and the 𝗍𝗃𝗃 effect, right? And I remember when I was dating, I used to do this a lot. Like if I went to like a party, and I think certain other environments that I was in that you would see me in, what I would
Yes, yes,
purposely
yes.
do,
We
and
know.
I actually learned this from a dating book that my dad bought for me years ago. I don't have it anymore, but yeah, I think it was called like the Black Playbook or something. I don't remember. Where basically they said you want to do this, engage the woman or talk to the person you're interested in, make them laugh or get to a good point, and just when you feel like you want to keep talking, you feel that, stop and say, listen, and make up an excuse and go. Right?
Oh my God!
You're like, what? Or like if I would make the girl laugh, let's say in 5 minutes, as soon as she was like laughing, in my mind, I was like, okay, this is when I gotta go. Even though I didn't want to leave and she still had time for me, I would leave. I would 100% leave. And
Wow.
I was really good at doing that because I'm like, I know she's gonna find me again, or I know she's gonna reach out to me. I just know it
Man,
now because they're
what
interested
a,
now.
what a professional player.
Thank you. I got an award many years. I'm just kidding. But I do think it works a lot. I would also say that I love something the book mentioned. You only want to use this tactic when you're not needed. Do not do this during a crisis. So like if people are having like they're having problems, mental health issues, or they need you, like they actually need your help, right? Don't do this tactic when when they're actually going through something tough, right? And like if your wife, your girlfriend, or someone or like someone that you're trying to get interested in, let's say their
Mhm.
parent died, God forbid,
Oh
right?
shit.
And you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, listen, I'll be right back. And then you come back a month later. Hey, baby, did you miss me? What? My parents just died and you left me? That was, you should have left me during my time of need. So the book does say, don't do this while they're in need,
Yeah.
because then you are mean and you're evil and you don't want that to come across. You do it when you're not needed. That's when you subconsciously, you want to hook them with this tactic. Um,
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot
it,
of
it,
sense.
it makes sense, right?
That makes a
Uh,
lot of sense.
there was a story here on page, I'll tell you right now, page 118, which is the observance of the law. And I love this story. This guy, uh Diosis, I think I'm saying it right.
Yeah, the
Deioces.
iOS.
He was
Yes.
now I found him interesting because he was the great great grandfather um of Cyrus the king. And Cyrus the king appears in the Bible actually, in different parts of the Bible. In the book of
Mm.
Isaiah, the book of Daniel, the book of Ezra. This character, he wasn't Jewish, but he comes up and he was like the king of the Persian, I think he was like the first king of the Persian Empire, right? And he's actually the guy that tells the Jews, go, I'm gonna let you guys go back to Jerusalem to go rebuild the second temple, right?
Okay.
But it's interesting because his great great grandfather, which is this guy, he actually used this tactic to his advantage. He became so known for being such a fair judge into solving problems. But then eventually, and like society was getting better because of him. He eventually retires and he's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And and people realize, the society realize, we need this guy so badly. We need him more than he needs us, that they're like, we'll do anything for you. He's like, oh, anything? And then he requested, build me a palace. I want guards. And once everything was built for him, he's like, now I'll do my job, but no one can just come and see me now. You got to come through a messenger. So he used the scarcity principle to his advantage. He left at the right time. People came back flocking for him, like, we need you, we need you, we need you. He got what he wanted, and now he made sure to never fall again into the same trap, which was to be taken for granted. So I thought that was a fascinating, like, he like realized his mistake. He got, quote unquote, forced to come back, but with his wants and needs, and then he made sure not to fall back in there again. So I think it's important that if you want to be seen as valuable and have your presence missed, you're going to have to do strategic withdrawals with your social circle, with your girlfriend. And again, it doesn't mean leave them forever or
Yeah,
leave
no, not at all. Yeah.
completely, but do this strategically so that people realize Aaron or Aurus or anyone else, they did have impact on me and I miss them and I want them to come back, because that's the only way, right? If you're trying to build something or you're trying to become someone, people have to miss you. People have to realize, when this person was here, the society, the country, my community, the church, the synagogue, my life, his life was better when they were here for X and Y Z reason. So yeah, I think that's so crucial.
No, I mean, I think the story is phenomenal, and even taking from that story itself,
Hmm.
um, it wasn't only a strategic withdrawal. I believe that strategic withdrawal also came through a scarcity of skill that that person had,
Ah,
right?
I love that. Yes,
Right,
yes.
it's because even in this law, law
16.
16 on page 121, it
Mm-hmm.
says extend the law of scarcity to your own skills. Make what you are offering the world rare and hard to find, and you instantly increase its value. So, like you said, the
Mm,
guy had a special skill. He was great at listening to people, solving problems, not being so judgmental, being
yeah.
fair, and a lot of people love that love that from him. So whenever his withdrawal, it wasn't only his presence, but his presence brought skill, and that
Yes.
skill was needed amongst these types of people. Therefore, when he was absent, they were like, "No, we need him now. We need him now." So when he brought himself back in, now he brought himself back in, but it wasn't going to be as much easier access as it what it used to be.
Correct.
Now it's going to be a little bit harder to get to me, which is interestingly enough a great strategy on how people are gonna still gonna want to see you and gonna have to work harder, but still will do it
Mm-hmm.
to come and see you. So and that applies to the world today, to my world in blue collar. Like there are certain superintendents or even in different trades that have certain skills, and not everyone has that skill. Like I know one person that um out of anything, um he out of garbage he's capable of creating a tool
Mm,
or replicating a tool in case we need an extra.
mm,
It's like what we call him Frankenstein.
mm. Oh, that's funny. That's good.
Right. So, but having that skill is rare because it's like that person is capable of just viewing a certain amount of objects. Let's say it's garbage, and be like, "Yeah, I can make that out of this." And you're like,
Mm,
where is their mind working from, or how are they capable of just doing it? I mean, it comes with experience, but it also comes with a certain amount of skill. So sometimes when that person is absent and we need something that involves a Frankenstein type skill, we look for that person and that person isn't around.
mm,
So you see how obviously it is the presence,
mm-hmm.
but you can enhance to a different degree, to a different level,
Mm-hmm.
um this this absence of yours through a skill that you might have. And I think that's great.
And this, while you were saying this, it made me think of something that, Ty Lopez said. The harder, wait, I'm gonna butcher what he said, but I'll give you the
Yes,
idea.
yes,
It
yes, yes.
basically says the more skills you learn, or the harder a skill is and you learn it, you
Hmm.
deserve to get paid more or get more opportunities, because the harder the skill, less people are going to have it because of whatever time, experience, maybe the capacity to learn it. But if you learn it, that's why you get paid more.
Hmm.
Maybe, but things that don't have so much skill, it's easier to get into, right? But maybe you won't get paid as much, but it's much easier to get into, so you can start making something. So the question, so I'm thinking, like, so this goes back in my head to, like, do you go to college or not? Do you get a trade or not? Do you start a business or not? Do you work for a company and go up? Like, what do you do? And as long as you have in mind, the harder the skill you learn, obviously you'll be rewarded more. And I think even Elon Musk said something like, the harder the problem you solve, the harder that problem is, the more you're going to get paid for it. The
Hmm.
more you're going to get rewarded for it, which is true, right? So, like, for example, if you work at McDonald's, just trying to give you two extremes,
Hmm.
it's going to be much easier to get in and you can start making a living immediately. But what's the problem you're really solving? Okay, you're cooking for a hungry customer. Okay, right. Okay, that's fine. All right, I'll learn how to make a burger and how to put the potatoes in the oil. That's not so hard. All right, but now go become a spinal surgeon, a brain surgeon, right? It's gonna take you 20 years to get there. It's gonna be super hard, and it's very few people who make it. But once you make it, bro, you're making six. Like, I think one time I saw I think I saw like a job ad. Like, I think like some state, some hospital, some random state was asking for like for 6 months for like a brain surgeon to come. They were paying like $6,000 per hour. Ooh, $6,000 per
Wow.
hour. So you see, so it's like, yes, if you can use the scarcity principle with your presence and with your skill, you are going to be remembered, respected, more honor. You're going to get more opportunities. And I think it's important for people to know this when it comes to dating. Right. And I especially think that people that have a disadvantage, you need to use this to compensate your advantage, right? Uh,
100%. Yeah.
if you have a disadvantage, use these psychological principles to help you cover your disadvantage, either in dating or in the workforce, or in politics, or in any other case that this can help you out. So I think for me, the most important thing is know when to strategically leave either yourself, your skill, and learn know when to retire as well. Because if you know when to retire, as page 121
Yeah,
says,
yeah, 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 yeah. I remembered.
if it's done right, you can regain the respect that you had lost and retain a part of your power. Because maybe if you leave, just when you leave is when everyone still wants you, you can then transfer these people or your audience to somewhere else where you're going and still have that respect and that those memories that people will have of you. And then you become a legend and you become immortal in people's minds, and so forth.
Yeah, no. I 100% agree. That's when you were giving that example of McDonald's and the spinal surgeon, right? Or the brain surgeon, right? There's a huge difference in level of skill, right? And um what you call, I mean, that's the beauty of capitalism, right? You don't strive to pay to for equal pay. Try to strive for what you're worth, right? So in this case, we're not trying to diminish anybody who who does that type of job, right? Because everyone starts somewhere, but there's a big difference in skill level, right? And you're gonna want to anyone could enter an entry level job, and that's why they're paid the minimum wage, or that's why they're paying much lower wages, because a lot of people could do that job. You're easily replaceable. But the moment you make your presence felt through acquiring more skill and making that skill scarce and rare, is where your value goes up.